Good morning, everyone. This is Laura McDonough with AARP Vermont. Thank you so much for joining us today for a discussion about mature workers and how they can utilize local resources to acquire new skills, re-enter the workforce, or find jobs that align with their interests and abilities. This is an interactive event, and after some opening statements from our special guests, we'll be happy to take questions live on this call. We'll discuss career tips, job search tools, and professional resources that every experienced professional can use to sharpen their skills or secure a new job. AARP knows that people are living and working longer, and experienced workers bring expertise, maturity, and perspective. Experienced workers should have a level playing field in their ability to compete for, obtain, and retain jobs. So we have invited Associates for Training and Development, or A4TD, as some of you might know them, to join us on our call today. This is your chance to ask questions and share your experience about re-entering the workforce, changing jobs, learning a new skill, or finding the right job for you. If you'd like to ask a question at any time during the call, just press *3 on your telephone keypad. Again, that's *3 on your telephone keypad, and you'll be connected to an AARP staff member who will take down your name and question and put you in the queue. For those of you joining us on Facebook, please post your question in the comments, and we will read it aloud for you. I am so pleased this morning to welcome our special guest, Rick Bugbee, Vice President of Programs at A4TD. Rick, welcome to the show. Can you please provide us with an overview of A4TD and your role within it?
Sure. Thank you. Good morning, Laura. Good morning, everyone who's joined the call. Thank you for having us. We're very excited to be here. As Laura said, my name is Rick Bugbee. I am the Vice President of Programs at Associates for Training and Development. We do use the acronym A4TD because our title of our name, our business name is so long, so some of you may have heard of us. So yeah, thank you. Let me give a quick overview about what we do, who we are, and where we do it. Associates for Training and Development has been based in Vermont since 1983, exclusively operating workforce development projects specifically for mature workers. That's all we do since we were founded in 1983. And our goal is to upskill mature workers so they can either remain in the workforce or re-enter the workforce. We also run programs that help people with their barriers to employment. So if individuals are facing a barrier, how can we help them overcome that barrier so, again, they can be in the workforce? We're a very mission-driven organization. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. And we're looking to help individuals pair job opportunities with their interests so that they can do something that they love to do. We are a statewide organization. We have office ranging from in the north in St. Albans to the south in Bennington and Brattleboro. We offer services to any Vermonter who qualifies for our programs. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to, as I said, upskill mature workers because we feel that they can be a value add to any business who is looking to fulfill some of their needs. We feel mature workers can bring experience, skills. They know what appropriate work ethic is. And we know there's so many other wonderful characteristics that mature workers bring to the workforce. Our ultimate goal is to help people either re-enter or remain in the workforce so they can improve their economic self-sufficiency and quality of life, and also be engaged within the communities and an opportunity to give back. So I look forward to telling you a little bit more about the programs that we run today and answering any questions you may have. Thanks, Laura.
Thanks so much, Rick. That was really helpful and informative. It looks like we already have a few questions coming in, so that's excellent. And for those folks who have just joined our call, we want to hear from you. We are chatting with Rick Bugbee from Associates for Training and Development about re-entering the workforce, changing jobs, or developing new skills to enhance your current position. To ask Rick a question, press *3 on your telephone keypad. Again, that's *3 on your telephone keypad to be connected with an AARP staff member who will take down your name and question or comment and place you in the queue. And for those of you joining us on Facebook, please feel free to post your question or comment in the chat, and we will read that aloud for you. Now, while I have everyone here, I just want to do a quick poll with everyone on the call. How many of you on the call today are currently working or thinking about going back to work? Press 1 if you are currently working or considering going back to work, and press 2 if you're not working and have no plans to return to the workforce. I'll share those poll results out in just a few minutes. And let's see, and while we are waiting for some more questions to come in, Rick, can you talk to us a bit about the Senior Community Service Employment Program, which some folks may know as SCSEP? Just an overview of the program, the application process, and eligibility requirements?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you. One of the programs that we've operated in Vermont since we were founded in 1983 is called the Senior Community Service Employment Program. It's the oldest jobs training program in the country, specifically for mature workers. It's funded by the United States Department of Labor, and we're very proud to be one of 19 organizations in the country that are awarded grant funds to operate this program in Vermont. What the Senior Community Service Employment Program is the transitional training program to help prepare older adults who have a training need and they have barriers to employment. And the whole goal is to upskill these unemployed mature workers so they can re-enter the workforce. The eligibility requirements are very simple and straightforward. An individual must be at least age 55. They must be unemployed. They must have some barriers to employment. And those barriers could be anything from they've been out of the workforce for a long period of time, maybe they have a disability, maybe they are homeless, maybe they have low literacy skills, being a veteran is considered to be a barrier to employment, and there's several others. And someone must meet income guidelines. Now that's a very convoluted system. So what I would suggest is if you're interested in receiving job training services and you're age 55 and you're unemployed, reach out to us to see if we can help you. And if we can, wonderful. And if we can't, we can also refer you to someone else. But getting back to the Senior Community Service Employment Program, it basically has a dual purpose mission. The first is to provide a community service to the nonprofit sector of Vermont, making sure that the nonprofit sector of Vermont has the resources they need to do all the important work that they do. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in a second. The other part of the program, the mission, is to help mature workers to re-enter the workforce, as I already mentioned. We feel mature workers can be a value add. We feel they have a lot of skills and a lot of experience that they can bring to employers to match their needs. And we also know that there's a lot of mature workers in Vermont who still want to work. And our role is to help provide training services to those mature workers so they are qualified for available jobs and they're able to secure them. Now, in particular, the way the program works, it's really an internship-based program. What we do is we partner with other nonprofits in your communities who are interested in hosting the program participants in an internship. That's where the community service piece comes in. Because in essence, what's happening is our program participants throughout Vermont are actually doing a paid internship, and the key is paid. It is a paid internship, a minimum of 20 hours per week. And they're actually doing that internship with a nonprofit, and they're learning as they go. They're actually receiving training in a workplace setting. You may have heard the phrase called on-the-job training, where they're actually in a workplace setting, learning new skills, completing work tasks for that nonprofit, and in essence, they're providing a community service to that nonprofit because they're helping them complete work that the nonprofit has to do. But at the same time, the really nice thing is the Senior Community Service Employment Program participants are in that workplace setting, learning new skills, engaging with other employees, building their networks, and oftentimes it leads to permanent employment. The other thing I just want to mention about the program is that we see this as a pathway. And what I mean by that is from day one and after you express interest in the program, is we're going to put you on what we call a Senior Community Service Employment Program training and service pathway, which means that we're going to learn about you and what your needs are and what your interests are and your previous work experiences and where you'd like to end up. We're then going to develop an employment plan for you that's going to include providing training to you that you may need. Some of that training could be digital literacy training. Maybe it's job readiness training. Maybe it's soft skills training. And at the same time, we're also going to help you with supportive service needs. We really take a holistic approach. Obviously, we're in the business of employment and training, but we want to make sure that all individuals, if they do not have the basic needs, that we help them get them as well. Why we're offering other types of training, like I mentioned, digital literacy skills training, for example, we're then going to partner with a nonprofit to put you in that internship. So you're not only learning skills within a workplace setting, but there's also additional classroom training that we can get into maybe a little bit later on. And then at the same time, we're also partnering with you to see what jobs are out there that match your interests and skills and hopefully helping you to secure employment. We're in no way a temp agency. We're a training organization, but part of our role is to help you secure employment. So we're always connecting and engaging with businesses throughout Vermont who may have job openings that we feel our program participants may be interested in and may have the skills to be successful in. That's a little bit about the program. I'd be more than happy to share more about the program as this time goes on. But I guess I'll stop right for now, Laura, and see if anyone has any questions.
Thank you. That was really informative. I love that it's such a customized approach for each person that comes in, and you really work with them to figure out their needs and interests and create a custom career path for each of them. That's fabulous. For folks who have just joined our call, I know there's quite a few of you, we want to hear from you. We are talking with Rick Bugbee from Associates for Training and Development, or A4TD, about re-entering the workforce, changing jobs, learning new skills, any number of things that mature workers or someone thinking about going back into the workforce should know. So to ask Rick a question, please press *3 on your telephone keypad. Again, that's *3 on your telephone keypad, and you'll be connected with an AARP staff member who will take down your name and question or comment or story and place you in the queue. Maybe you've had a good success story. Maybe the place that you are working for now is a good example. So we would love to hear from you. So again, that's *3 on your telephone keypad. Again, that's *3 on your telephone keypad. And while we are filling up that question queue, I did just want to share the results of the poll that we did earlier. It looks like 41% of the folks on the line are either working or considering re-entering the workforce, and another 59% are not working and have no plans to return to the workforce. But we're happy to have you on the call anyway. It's always good information to listen to this morning, especially with Rick Bugbee from A4TD. Rick, as we get older and want to remain or re-enter the workforce, what are some things you would recommend people do to stay relevant and current in the workforce?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's a few things I would advise. And I wanted to go back just a second. For those 59% of you that are not interested in going back in the workforce, if you have any inkling at all, if you're looking to engage with your community, please reach out to us, because there's all kinds of different options. And we can even discuss volunteer options with you if you're not really interested in securing employment, permanent employment full time. So part of what we're all about is making sure that, mature individuals in Vermont are engaged. So also feel free to reach out to us. I also want to just say, I failed to mention that if you're interested in the Senior Community Service Employment Program, I'll probably mention this again, the application process is really easy. You can go to our website, and it's www.A4TD, so it's A as in Apple, the number 4, T as in training, D as in development.org. And there's a short application. It'll probably take about 10 minutes or so. You can also call our 1-800 number, 800-439-3307. And you can talk with a live person. We can also help you apply as well. So with that being said, Laura, getting back to your question, there's so many different resources in Vermont that can help us with employment and training related issues. I think the first thing, a piece of advice I would give to people is to make sure you're connected, to build a network, to always be picking people's brains about where are the jobs, what are employers looking for, are they requiring, what specific skills are they requiring for those jobs that are open. And I think a really important concept is called workforce resilience. Making sure that you stay resilient, making sure that you are current with your skills, making sure, like I said, that you're well connected, not giving up. Finding a job is not easy. I once read an article actually by AARP. It was a long, long time ago. But the article was about basically saying finding a job is a full-time job in itself. It's not easy. We hear on the news that there's all kinds of jobs out there, and that's true. But we need to find work for ourselves that we're going to like, that we're going to enjoy, that we're going to get warm and fuzzy feelings about, and that is going to match our skills. And that's hard. So you got to be persistent. You got to be flexible. That's part of being resilient. Don't give up if you get that first denial, or if you've submitted 5 applications and you haven't heard back from an employer. Don't give up. I once had a friend who applied for 79 jobs. Now, they had a few interviews in between that, within that 79, but it was 79 jobs before they actually got hired at one. If that individual had not been persistent and kept going at it, probably when they didn't want to from time to time, they would have never received that job. And today they're still in that job, really enjoying it and learning a lot and giving back and contributing and earning a good salary at the same time. So I think it's really important to be resilient, to understand what you really are looking for, part-time, full-time, what types of jobs you're looking for, and then researching and talking with others about what are the skills that those employers are working for. It's okay to target companies. It's okay to research and say, I would really like to work for this company. Do research on them. Do they support an intergenerational workforce? Do they have a history of hiring mature Vermonters? Those are all things that as a job seeker or someone who wants to remain in the workforce that we want to know about. So you can make the best informed decision about jobs that what you want to do and jobs that you want to apply for. And just going back, to the training aspect of it, there's so many training opportunities. Obviously, there's the wonderful work that we're doing. But also, if you don't meet the eligibility requirements for our program, there's wonderful training through the Vermont Department of Labor. Libraries have training. Obviously, community college, CCV, technical education centers at the local high schools. So I would encourage you to check those out as well. Thanks, Laura.
Thanks, Rick. That was great. And it looks like we've got some more folks on the call. So if you have just joined our call, this is Laura McDonough with AARP Vermont, and I am joined here today by Rick Bugbee at Associates for Training and Development. And this is your chance to ask questions or share your tips or stories or comments about re-entering the workforce, changing jobs, developing new skills. Any questions you have about that, please feel free to press *3 on your telephone keypad. Again, that's *3 on your telephone keypad, and you'll be placed in the queue to ask your question live on the call with Rick. We do have a question that we got by email prior to the call from a man named Sam in Ludlow. Sam says, I am a retired Vermonter in my 70s, and I worked in construction for most of my career. I'm thinking about going back to work part-time in a job that is not labor-intensive. What kinds of jobs are friendly to older workers like me here in Vermont?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one that we get all the time, right? When we've been in a job or particular industry for a long period of time, it's sort of all we know. And for various different reasons, we may not be able to do or not want to do the same type of work that we've been doing our whole lives. So, for example, with the question, if you've worked in construction, I don't work in construction, but I think, from talking with others, it's a pretty hard industry on the body, and it's eventually, as we get older, we may not be able to do construction work. But think about the skills that one has that are very unique skills, very specialized skills to work in the construction industry, right? I know I don't have those skills. So what I would suggest to this individual and to any individual is look at your transferable skills. What are the skills that you could transfer to another industry? And I have to assume with this individual in construction, maybe they were building houses, right? Maybe they were laying foundations. Maybe they were just doing the finishing work and building houses. Whatever it may be, that's a unique skill set. Not everyone can do that. So then think about where can you apply that skill set that you have, but maybe in a less impact environment. All I know is when I go into the Lowe's or the Home Depots or the local hardware store, right? If I'm going in there and I need to buy paint, or I need to buy lumber, or I need to buy, a type of grass seed, I'm expecting that people who work in those types of stores are going to be able to give me advice based on their experiences. So someone who's in a construction industry, maybe they're going to work at a big box store, or they're going to work at a hardware store or at a lumber mill. And maybe it's going to be in a customer service facing role where they're talking about all that they know, advising customers. So that's just one example using, based on the questioner's, previous experience with construction. But it could be maybe you've worked for the power company, your whole life, and you've been going up telephone poles, for example, or power pole, lines. And you can't do that anymore. But you have a unique skill set. There's a lot of experiences that you can share with others. So think of it that way. It's thinking outside the box a little bit, and that's how our program can really help you. In that we would learn what your transferable skills are, and then we could train you in customer service skills and social skills and people skills and how to appropriate ways to communicate and so forth and so on. So that would be my advice to anyone who's looking to maybe change careers, especially if you're looking to go into a lower impact type of role.
Thanks, Rick. That's really good advice. And again, this is an interactive call, so if anyone on the line would like to ask a question at any time during the call, or you could share your story or any tips or comments that you'd like to share with the audience, please press *3 on your telephone keypad. Again, that's *3 on your telephone keypad to be connected with an AARP staff member who will note your name and question and place you in the queue. Again, that's *3 on your telephone keypad. Rick, we have another question here from Cheryl in Burlington. Cheryl says, I haven't had to write a resume for what feels like decades at this point. Where do I even begin? Are there templates I can use? Are there certain things I shouldn't put on there?
Yeah, great question. Some of us who have been in the workforce for a while haven't had need to do a resume. Maybe we haven't had to interview in a lot of years. And things have sort of changed over the course of time. I've been with A4TD for 18 years, and how we're teaching people to draft resumes is much different than it was 5, 10, 15 years ago. Things evolve and they change. Once upon a time, you could have resumes be 4 or 5 pages, and then the next advice they gave you was, no, don't go over 1 page. And now it's back to, hey, give a good solid introduction to yourself, and however long it ends up being. One thing I will say is there's stats out there, and they'll basically say on average an employer will look at a resume less than 15 seconds, which seems sort of unfair, right? You're putting all this time into building a resume, and employers aren't giving it the time that you expect them to take to digest it. So in order to get above those 15 seconds, you've got to have some sort of hook. You've got to draw that employer in who's reading your resume real quickly. So often in the old days, resumes would have an objective, right? I would like a job that's going to use my skills in such and such an industry. Do not do that. Do something that is called like a summary of qualifications. That is a short, few sentence paragraph, or even better, maybe 3 or 4 bullet points that's really going to sell yourself and explain the skills you have and what you can bring to that employer that you've applied to. Entice them to read more, because if you don't catch them early on, they're moving on to the next one. We recently were hiring for a position. We got 279 applications, right? That takes a lot of time. So we were really looking, at the resumes, what's really catching us. And so that's the number one thing that you want to make sure. That top third of that first page has to really catch the eye of the reader, or else they're going to move on. To really advocate, sell yourself. What can you do for them? Convince them that they'd be crazy not to read further and to interview you, because you are a qualified candidate for their position. Second thing I would do is when you're thinking about drafting a resume, all kinds of resources out there. There's online resources, right? You can go to your search engine or you can use AI, and you can find all kinds of resources. But what I would also suggest you do, first of all, if you're in our program, the Senior Community Service Employment Program, we're going to sit down with you and help you develop a resume. Because at the end of the day in our program, we're going to help you find work. And if you don't have that resume, no one's going to hire you, right? So we're going to help you. We're going to sit down with you. We have qualified individuals that can help you with that. Secondly, I would, again, I'm going to hopefully give you some resources today of other people that do wonderful work. And that's starting here with the Vermont Department of Labor. They actually have resume writing workshops. You can go on to vermont.gov and get all the different locations of the Vermont Department of Labor American Job Centers. That's what they call them. Sometimes you'll hear them called as career resource centers. And they have workshops both in person and online to help you build a resume. But they'll also, if you go into one of their career centers, they'll actually do one-on-one help with you. They'll sit down with you, and they'll do exactly what we do, which is they'll learn about what your employment experiences are. What is your work history? They'll want to learn about what types of jobs that you want now, you're looking to get into now, and they'll help you craft a resume that then you can tailor to an individual job. So again, if you're in our program, we can definitely help you with that. If you're not in our program, the first place I would go is I would visit one of your local Vermont Department of Labor offices.
Thanks, Rick. And it looks like we have a few more folks who've just joined the call. So for those of you on the line and those of you who have just joined the line, welcome to our call this morning with Associates for Training and Development. We are talking about mature workers, the experience they bring, how to get back into the job force, how to change careers, how to build your skills. If you have questions at any time during this call, or if you want to share some comments, please press *3 on your telephone keypad. Again, that's *3 on your telephone keypad, and you'll be placed into our queue to ask your question or provide your comment live on the call. Again, that's *3 on your telephone keypad. And Rick, what sectors are most in need of workers right now? Do you have any insight about that?
Yeah, there's all kinds of labor market information out there. You can talk with different employers and what their needs are. You can go to, the various job search websites, in Vermont, Vermont Job Link, for example. I know a lot of people use Indeed. We actually have a jobs board on our website, A4TD.org. Healthcare is big, as we know. There's a lot of jobs within healthcare. And the interesting thing about healthcare is, when you think about healthcare, most people first think about the clinical jobs. And a lot of mature workers aren't interested in the clinical jobs, or maybe they can't do the clinical jobs because a lot of jobs in healthcare require lifting, being on your feet for extended periods of time, and that may not be conducive to where you're at. You may not be able to be on your feet for 8 hours a day. So for those clinical jobs, whether it be the personal care aide, maybe we want to become an LNA, maybe you want to become a phlebotomist. We can help you get the training for all of those. But don't forget the non-clinical jobs. right? When you walk into a health center or a hospital, there's retail gift shops, there's customer service, customer-facing jobs. There's the office admin assistant, receptionist work. There's the environmental services. There's food preparation. So there's a lot of non-clinical jobs within the healthcare sector that has a lot of job openings. So do not forget about those. There's a lot of jobs in information technology, a lot of jobs in green. Those are a lot higher level type work. And then there's also the retail, customer service, food preparation. If you're interested in being in a kitchen setting, there's a lot of jobs there. A lot of just engaging with people. I think what you'll find, and you see it on the news all the time, or read it in the newspaper or online, there's lots of jobs in Vermont. It's a matter of making sure that you have the skills in order to do those jobs, or you have the skills that employers are looking for. And maybe I can just tap into that a little bit. And what employers are telling us is, if you have a college education, that's great. If you don't, it's not a deal breaker. Because what most employers are looking for is specific industry skill sets. Having skills specific to the industry of which you're applying for. So, for example, if you are interested in getting in retail, you can get a National Retail Federation credential. If you're interested in getting into food preparation, you are going to want to get a ServSafe credential, because you're not going to get a job in the food industry without a ServSafe credential, which, by the way, we can help you get as well. If you want to be in customer service training, make sure you can display that you've taken classes around communication, soft skills, engaging with people, conflict resolution, right? Because those are the types of skills participants are going to be, employers are going to be looking for. So just, I think that's really important. Make sure that when you're reading job ads, make sure you actually have the skills that they're looking for, right? Sometimes people will just apply, well, I can do that. Maybe you can, but you've got to be able to prove to an employer through your resume and eventually through interviewing with them that you actually have the skills and you can do the job. So the best advice I can give you is, once you figure out what you want to do and the type of job that you want to try to seek or remain in, because it's also for incumbent workers. If you're still, times evolve, right? Industries evolve, so we have to make sure that we're current, and that's where training comes in. That's where associates with training and development can come in. We can help you to make sure that you have the skills necessary to meet the needs of what the employer is looking for. And like I said, going back to training providers like A4TD, Tech Ed Centers, CCVs, looking at what other, there's even local, providers for digital literacy training. And that's something that we really haven't touched on, but we probably should, is whether we like it or not, computers are not going away. We are in a digital age. Our goal at A4TD is to make sure that the digital divide is as small as it can be for mature workers. So in our programs, we expect and want all of our program participants to be taking some sort of digital literacy training that's going to meet where they're at and help them get to the next level. So we have tons of programs and vendors that we partner with, both for virtual and in-person training. But you're going to want to make sure that you have the computer skills that an employer is looking for the job that you're interested in. If you don't, that will be a deal breaker for employers. So again, it's pretty standard on our programs that everyone's taken some sort of digital literacy training, because we want, again, part of our role is to prepare you for employment in something that you're going to want to do and like to do and can be successful in. I will leave you with that for now.
Thanks, Rick. That's actually a great transition to one of the questions that we have. We have a caller on the line who didn't want to ask their question live, but Daniel asks, he says, I've been out of the workforce for a bit and want to brush up on some skills. What are some good online courses or sites where I can learn without it feeling overwhelming? My son recommended Coursera.
Yeah, Coursera is a great one. And again, I'm not, promoting anything specific. I'm just giving you options that you can pursue. But I can tell you with our program participants, let me tell you some of the ones that we use that are online. It also depends on what you're looking for. So for example, if you're looking to improve your computer skills, right, there's a South Burlington-based company called Technology for Tomorrow that does wonderful training that we have a partnership with, and has trained over 250 of our Vermonters over the last 5 years. And I know they're partners with AARP, Vermont, and others as well. So they're a wonderful resource. It's very local. If you're looking for online opportunities, Coursera is a good one if you're looking for industry-specific training. It's not the easiest. It's probably, I would say, at the intermediate level. So depending on what your computer skills are, Coursera may or may not be appropriate for you. If you're going back into the digital literacy realm, there is something called Skills to Succeed that is a free online resource that you can use. Another free online resource is on GCF Global. They offer digital literacy training. They offer job readiness training, workplace skills in general. So those are some other options. Another local option is a company called Knowledge Wave. They're actually in the Burlington area as well, but they're a virtual option. So there are both Vermont-based organizations, and there are online options that would be, a benefit. A couple more, North Star is another one. That's a paid, so that is a fee. And by the way, Coursera can be a fee as well. But just, be mindful about that as well. And then just don't forget, sometimes libraries have courses, right? And then obviously the tech centers, so we sort of forget about the tech centers, but most of our tech centers in the state, they're called career and technical education centers. We just think that they're for the kids, but a lot of them have continuing ed or adult ed programs. And some of them offer credential training. So if you're interested, for example, in getting into the healthcare industry and you want to get your personal care assistant license, or you want to get an LNA license, or you want to get a ServSafe credential, or you want to get your CDL, career technical education centers have all those classes for you in order to have the skills you need that employers are looking for.
Thanks, Rick. I do want to give a little shout out to Technology for Tomorrow as well. We have been partnering with them for several years now, and we host a Tech Thursdays class every other Thursday for free through AARP. The next one is on January 22nd, and it's focused on Zoom Essentials for Confident Connections. Thank you, Rick, for providing all of those resources. Earlier in the call when we were talking about the SCSEP, you did mention classroom training, and that you might want to get into some more detail about that on the call. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up on that?
Yeah, first of all, I want to make sure and say all of our services are free. So first and foremost, they're all free. So even if there's a classroom training that aligns with your job goal, and we're going to help you identify what makes sense, our goal is to make sure you do not pay a dime. There's all kinds. We have tuition dollars that are available. There's other resources. For example, VSAC gives what they call advancement grants that can help people pay for classes that have a tuition to them. So first and foremost, all of our services are free to everyone that's in our program. Basically what we do is we first of all, we can't help everyone. What we're going to do is we're going to learn what your interests are and where your skills are at and where you want to go. To Laura, you sort of said earlier, individualized. It's very appropriate. We're very worker-centered. What does an individual need and how can we help them? And if we can help you, great. If we can't, we're going to be honest with you about that too, and we'll refer you to someone who can help you. But for example, if someone wants to go into the food industry, we're going to help you get that ServSafe credential. It's necessary. If someone wants to get into an admin position, maybe we're going to help you get your Microsoft Office certification, for example. Or we have a company that we partner with out of Michigan that offers customer service credentialing. So we're going to make sure that, going back to what I said earlier, that businesses, employers are looking for industry-specific credentials, certifications. We're going to help you get those if they're out there. based on what your needs are. So that's really important. So our whole program, the Senior Community Service Employment Program, is sort of two different facets. It's that internship base, which is going to be a majority of the training that you would receive. But we're also going to take a look at what sort of other training do you need. Maybe it's connecting with the Vermont Department of Labor for resume building or interview development, or maybe to help with your networking skills. Maybe it's going to be with a digital literacy provider that we've already talked about to help you improve your computer skills. Maybe it's going to be with CCV to help you get a potential credential, or to help, with, if you're in Rutland, for example, connecting with Stafford Technology Career Center to help you get your CDL license. But we're going to help you do that. So then when you are ready to apply for a job, you can say, hey, I'm getting training that's in a workplace setting, and I've also got this credential now that I know you're going to find very attractive, that is evidence that I have the skills to do the job that you're looking for. So again, all the what we can offer is free. I also want to say, going back to the internship, I mentioned earlier, is paid. It is paid internship. We are allowed to pay you minimum wage, so it's not the most, right? But it is something to get you going, right? Maybe it's going to complement your Social Security. Maybe it's going to complement a pension that you already have coming in, and it's a minimum of 20 hours a week. So you would have to commit at least 20 hours a week. So it's that part-time. So I hope that all that information is helpful.
That's incredibly helpful and fantastic. What an amazing resource A4TD is here in Vermont, providing such a wealth of expertise and knowledge on such a wide range of issues and topics, and all for free. I love that. It's incredible work that you're doing. Thank you so much. On behalf of AARP Vermont, I want to thank everyone for participating in today's TeleTown Hall discussion. Whether you're kicking off a job search or looking to advance your career, sometimes a fresh perspective is all you need to break through, re-energize yourself, and learn how to apply your skills in ways you've never considered. Thank you so much for your time today. If you have other questions or would like additional information, check out the A4TD website at a4td.org, or you can also visit AARP's Work and Jobs Resource Center at aarp.org/work, where you'll find expert career tips and job search tools. We've been talking today with our special guest, Rick Bugbee at A4TD. I would like to thank Rick so much again for joining us today and taking some time out of his busy schedule to provide all of this information and resources. Rick, is there anything you want to follow up on or share any closing comments around?
Yes, I want to thank AARP Vermont for inviting me today. And to everyone that was able to join us, I hope I was able to share some relevant information that's going to help you. If you're interested in our services, particularly the Senior Community Service Employment Program, please reach out to us through our website, www.a4td.org, a4td.org. I'll also give you a couple phone numbers. Our 1-800 number is 800-439-3307. We also have another number, 802-752-7902. So if you have any questions or you want to do any follow-up, feel free to reach out to us. Those numbers will get you to live people, including potentially me. I'd love to chat with you further. And if you're interested in our services, I hope you will apply because I think we can do a lot to help you to gain the skills that you need so you can re-enter the workforce. So thank you, Laura, for inviting us, and we really appreciate it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rick, again, and everyone who tuned in today for the call. We apologize if we weren't able to answer your question, but if you stay on the line, you'll be able to leave us a voicemail with your question or comment. Thank you again, Rick, and everyone, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.